Good evening, folks, and welcome to the start of the week session in the Forex trading room for November 15th of 2020. We'll be going through our standard agenda. I'll look at the prior week's results, our currency strength meter, fundamental announcements scheduled for the week, a look at the major pairs on the daily charts, any setups we see in progress, a few words in conclusion. Starting with the ledgers, we had a pretty good week on the long-term account. We're up more than 10% for the week, so actually a brilliant week. We still got one trade open at profit with the Euro New Zealand, and we'll continue letting that run for as long as it goes. We will be entering new trades as the situation warrants, so stay tuned for that. The intermediate term ledger continues relatively flat. We go up 1 week, down the next week. We're pretty much staying in the same range. We're still waiting for a longer running trend to carry us into the sunset. And on the short term ledger, we had a 3.25% gain for the week. 3 trades won, 3 trades lost. The winners outweighed the losers. So we're nicely up there as well. Notes and opportunities for improvement. Of course, Trump today admitted to the possibility of having lost to Biden for the first time, but is saying it was rigged. The legal challenges from the Trump campaign on allegations of fraud do continue. The dollar is sliding despite a few upticks a couple of days last week. In general, it is a very weak outlook for the dollar. A COVID vaccine was announced last week. U.S. stock markets are at all-time highs, and commodities such as oil, silver, gold are very likely to continue to overperform as volatility and uncertainty are ruling the market right now. Relative strength meter for the last week and month, if I may direct your attention to the rightmost columns. On the monthly, we see that silver continues to do quite well, even though it had a rather poor week. It dropped 4% for the week, but it's still up almost 5% for the month. We had a couple of other movers throughout the week. Aussie JPY up a little bit over 1%. Euro CAD the same, and pound JPY 1.5%. USD Swiss 1.5%, and USD JPY 1.5%. All of those up, with gold sliding 3% to come back to about break even for the month of November. The retraces on some of these dollar pairs are a little bit hard to explain. I would expect a more consistent slide to the dollar, but again, market volatility plus market irrationality. The markets do not always do what one would logically expect them to do, and that is the downfall of more than one trader when they get too married to their opinions. So that's where we are right now on the weekly and the monthly. And as I said, I would expect continued dollar weakness, but we wait for it to happen before we actually trade it. Fundamental announcements for the week, a pretty quiet week. We do have the RBA minutes coming out tomorrow, but I'm probably not going to be trading those. They haven't really moved the needle much the past couple of times, or probably more times. Same with the RBA governor speech on Tuesday, so we will not be trading those this week. I'll keep an eye on them to see if they do anything out of the ordinary, but we won't be live trading them. On Wednesday, we do have the employment change out of Australia early evening, so we'll probably be meeting earlier than usual that evening to accommodate that. And that's about it. As I said, a pretty quiet week up ahead, other than, of course, the stuff we know is going on with COVID, U.S. elections, Brexit, but nothing actually scheduled. With that, on to the commodities. Oil had a pretty good week, coming back up to the low 40s after having slid back just above $35. So a nice uptick for the week, but still remains in a very sideways pattern. On the major pairs, we can see that, and this is going to be true for most of the dollar pairs, they did move into dollar strength at the beginning of the week and started to slide again towards the end, but didn't quite make it up to where they had started out for the week in general. As I said, I still expect dollar weakness, and it looks like the market agreed with me on Thursday and Friday, but not enough to undo the week. Pound dollar, same thing, a drop on Wednesday, Thursday, and then an attempt at a recovery back up on Friday. Most of these pairs are still poised to do a breakout towards the top on dollar weakness, but it has yet to happen. USD/JPY, a rather brutal crash on Monday with the yen losing a ton of pips to the dollar, and then a very slow recovery the rest of the week, bringing back halfway back down. USD CAD is one of the exceptions. It went into dollar strength, Canadian weakness pretty much the entire week, ending right at that dropping trend line. So it did hit resistance on Friday, bounced off of that, and we'll have to see what happens as the week begins. I think some of these pairs where we're seeing them behave uncharacteristically based on the expectations are probably going to give us some pretty good opportunities to trade them back down into where one would expect the dollar to go. So the more these go up, the more meat there's going to be in that bone when they do turn around again, assuming they do. USD Swiss, also a pretty brutal week, going up for the first half, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way back up to the resistance. And on Thursday, Friday, trying to slowly recover, but didn't quite make it. So this is another pair where the opportunity is right there for when it does continue for quite a large number of pips. Aussie dollar, pretty flat. Dollar had a brilliant movement into dollar weakness for most of the week, coming off of the prior week as well. And we did catch most of this movement. We got taken out on the retrace on Thursday at a very high level of profit. So this was all good. We're still waiting for the breakout out of the very top. And of course, that will be a very tradable event if and when it happens. Aussie CAD, flat to bullish for most of the week, was really slowly rising, but never really breaking out of anything. Friday did a nice bit of a boost, but still, we're waiting for a significant push that has yet to happen. Euro Swiss, one of the bigger movers in relative size, though the pip distances there are pretty small. There is maybe 120 pips on the bigger move on Monday into Tuesday. Wednesday started coming back down, and Thursday, Friday didn't really move much. As I said, the pip distances aren't too large here. The chart just looks exaggeratedly big right now on some of these candles, but there's not a whole lot of pips there. Euro pound, another one we traded very successfully until the turnaround happened on Thursday. It was dropping very nicely, pound strength against the euro. Then Thursday, it just swung up, coming back into the trend line, and Friday was trying to come back down. We did take profit on that movement right at the retrace. Euro JPY for, I'm going to say Monday. Yes, indeed, that was Monday, and then slowly trying to come down the rest of the week. So the big movement was a single day, and then nothing much happened for the remainder. Euro Canadian, going really both ways, relatively flat. It's still very close to support, and another one where we're waiting for it to break out in either direction in order to trade it. Pound JPY, and this is very indicative of pretty much all the yen into major weakness at the beginning of the week. So we have that Monday and Tuesday just skyrocketing. Wednesday, it took a breather, and then Thursday, it started to come back down, making it about halfway down the trading range of Monday, Tuesday, and Friday did not do much. Aussie JPY, same thing, yen weakness at the beginning of the week and a slow retracement for the remainder. Euro New Zealand, and this is an open trade. We're trying to continue trading this pair towards the bottom, assuming it continues following that trend line all the way back from March. And we are carrying a nice amount of profit on this trade in the long-term account. Pound Canadian at the very top of a sideways range. A pretty bad week for the CAD against the pound, so it went up on Tuesday. Monday it hit support. Tuesday it went all the way up to resistance and then stayed there for the remainder of the week, trying to come down Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday going all the way back to the top. Another one where I think there's some really good trading opportunities coming up, but in which direction, your guess is as good as mine. We're going to wait for that to actually happen before we trade it. Pound Swiss, this was another one where we took some profit, though not as much as I would have liked. We got taken out on a retrace at some point, and then it continued going in our direction. But it did hit resistance on Wednesday and bounced off of that and then started coming back down, ending about halfway back to where it had began. So another one where the opportunities are probably going to increase as time goes by, and we're waiting for that breakout in either direction. And pound Aussie still remains reasonably flat, just hanging on to a sideways pattern right in the middle of a sideways channel. So again, we're probably going to end up trading. I think we already are trading this one up. And again, we'll have to wait and see if it does anything of note this coming week. It's been very sluggish after some pretty good moves for the prior 2 or so months. That is the end of our chart. Setups we see in progress. Of course, the pound pairs and the impact of the U.S. election on the dollar pairs, the election, that's all that matters right now. Though I did mention the COVID vaccine that is supposedly coming out has been tested, 90% efficacy, but seeing is believing, and I think the election is overshadowing everything else. The Kiwi pairs are on the brink of a breakout on multiple fronts, but especially against the dollar. The Swiss pairs, the Swiss is still looking good as a safe haven currency if uncertainty continues to rule the market. I know it had a pretty poor week against the dollar, against the pound, but that might be just the uncertainty starting to look for an out. I think the Swiss is going to shine in the very near future. So keep an eye on it. Move hasn't started yet, but we're on the lookout for it. And last but not least, the Euro pairs. We're waiting on the continued reaction to the US election. And in particular, against the dollar, the euro is on the brink of a breakout as well from the very top of the chart. That is it for our session. Parting words here, slow and steady is my theme of the day. One of the main differences between amateurs and professionals in trading is that amateurs usually have a get-rich-quick mentality. Other than a stroke of luck, there are no get-rich-quick methods that actually work. Getting poor quick, on the other hand, has multiple approaches that you will find work magnificently. Professional traders build wealth over time. They use proper risk control and compound their profits to grow their accounts by orders of magnitude over longer periods of time. This is not a quick game. You're not going to come in with $1,000 and walk out with $1 million the very next day. But most people who enter the Forex market for the first time, or any market for that matter, come with these unrealistic expectations. This isn't new. The only thing ever new in trading is the latest get-rich-quick method invented by some hopeful idiot, and it will not work. So don't be in a rush. Be smart. Happy and safe trading for you as the week begins, and that is a wrap for today. I'll be posting this, of course, very soon. Any comments or questions from anyone before we drop off? Okay, folks, thank you much, and we will be back tomorrow. Have a great rest of the weekend.